Good evening and a warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining our December London South East Investor Webinar. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Donald Leggett, Head of Investor Relations, and Phil Thomas and the team would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us online this evening. Tonight, we have 4 interesting AIM-listed companies presenting. Those are Power Metal Resources and Coda Gold, both miners, Oil Explorer Zephyr Energy, and the virtual reality business VR Education. Our usual format allows for an 18-minute presentation followed by 10 minutes of questions to the speakers from you, the live audience. Just look for the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen, type and submit your questions, and I'll put as many as we have time for to each CEO. Please do add your real name so I can give you a name check, and apologies in advance if we don't ask you your question. Please don't take it personally. We'll send you a copy of the slide pack for each company tomorrow morning. And as you know, each company has their own webpage on the lac.co.uk website. So you can get up to speed on the company there with all the company fundamentals and so on, and leave a message on the company chat board while you're at it. Most companies keep at least half an eye on their board, so it most certainly isn't time wasted. Okay, Power Metal Resources. Our first company tonight is Power Metal Resources, an AIM-listed metals exploration and development company seeking a large-scale metal discovery. The CEO is Paul Johnson. Welcome, Paul. And I believe Power has 9 assets in development, and those include gold exploration in both America and Australia, as well as base metal exploration in Africa. POW's market cap as of today is £19 million. And here we are. Over to you, Paul Johnson.
Thank you very much, Donald. I now have to do the magical techie stuff of turning on the screen, which is an achievement for me, I can assure you.
And it's all looking good at this end?
Marvellous, there you go.
Oh, bingo bango.
Rightio. So good evening, everybody. Normally in these presentations, the management come on and they talk about the company. They want to encourage people to take a look at the stock and research. They want to increase awareness. They want you to buy the shares because that helps. It helps on a number of different perspectives. One, with share price performance. Also, it helps them to raise money so that they can pay salaries and so on. Very important for a board. In my case, I want to take this a different direction. I'd like to talk about the company from a private investor's perspective. Now, I'm not talking about you high net worths out there. I'm not talking about institutional funds out there. You guys have got enough cash. I'm more concerned about the private investors with smaller capital pools who are trying to build that into a larger pool that can change the nature of their life, what they can do with their lives. And I can do that, I think, because in my case in Power Metal, myself and my wife, Michelle, have invested £350,000 cash, real cash, into this business over the last 2 years. So every single day, not just during this presentation, I have to justify to my family, including my 6-year-old, Thomas, why I've put that amount of money, a huge amount of money into this business. And it's not just me, it's the board also, because I hold about 7% of the stock and my board and their connected parties hold another 7%. So in total, we have 14%. So when I'm having board discussions, talking about business strategy and trying to do new things and build the business, I have to justify what I'm doing because they have a large amount of money invested too. So we are here primarily to make money in our space. There's no reason to be here really, unless you have that as your primary objective. But I think it's nice to see the story actually be engaging and something that you can attach yourself to over a period of time. So again, I'm focused not just on those that want a quick in and out, but I want to focus on those people that like the story and stay and run with us. Take the risk, as it were. Now, from my perspective as a director, if the share price goes up 100% tomorrow, that's fine. It's great to see. But spikes in the share price don't help me to build value for my own family. I need to see those price moves sustained and maintained. And that's absolutely key in everything I do, that we build a strong business over the short, medium, and long term. I don't have any other interest. This is me, and everything that I can do in the resource space will go into this company if possible. So there's the disclaimer. Do your own research, folks. There's lots of information on our website and this presentation, which is available online. There's a message from me personally. This is a personal campaign. It's not just a company. I don't do this for salary. I do this because I think I can turn my capital into a much bigger sum. There's a brief background. Power Metal Resources are focused on precious metals in North America and Australia, and base metals in Africa. We have a range of projects, early stage through to later stage drill prospects. There's the board of directors. I won't give them any more glory than I'm sure they deserve. And there's the capital structure. And you can see that 14% that the board holds and 7% personally. Okay, so we have 9 projects. I can't possibly run through them all today. And it's quite difficult when you have that diversified model to get that message across about every single project in any one presentation. So I mentioned Story before, and I'm going to focus on 2 projects, one Australia, and secondly, Botswana Molopo Farms. Tell you a little bit about how they came about, how we did the deals, and where they are now, and what our aspirations are for the future. Australia Gold. Now, back in March, well, Q1 really, we were approaching difficult circumstances and lockdowns. And we were all, or most of us, sat in at home, working away. I was in the front room. We converted it into an office. Michelle brought me sandwiches and coffee on a regular basis, for which I'm grateful. And we were distracted from the lockdown situation because we were looking at Australia and Victoria. We've been looking at it for quite some time, probably about a year, and we identified that there were some rich gold properties in Victoria Goldfields area. So in early 2020, we also noticed an increase in activity and interest in the space. This is Victoria Goldfields properties. And we decided to move ahead quickly, as fast as we could, and start to assemble a portfolio of ground. We did this with Red Rock Resources, who had an available vehicle, Red Rock Australasia Pty Limited, an Australia company, private company. And we started to go about building licensed ground. Well, we started and we couldn't stop, because over a number of months, we eventually built up to 13 license applications in Victoria, all of which have evidence of gold mineralization, and many of which are in very strategic positions near former gold mining centres. There's the area on the map in front of you, and you can see that central to one of our main batches of license applications is the Ballarat Mine. And you can see the gold production that's coming out of that mine. There's the overall footprint that we've built on the map in front of you, and a list of the licenses on the right-hand side. Now, we undertook, as soon as we had the ground, an overall technical review, and we had prepared technical reports which are on our website for most of those projects. So if you want to read about most of those projects and the gold prospectivity, you can actually do it. We don't want to hide anything. We're putting all of our information where possible on the website. And you'll see from those reports the amazing prospectivity around. There's the same footprint in slightly different colours, and you can see a little bit more information. This is one of the largest footprints that is available in that area. It has strategic significance. And because of that, we looked around and decided, how could we take this forward? And if you look at the different levels of mineralization that you have across different project interests, which we drew from the technical reports, you can see this is something of considerable value. Now, over in Canada, there was a company that came onto the TSX earlier on this year, and it had effective, it wasn't an IPO, it was an introduction. They didn't raise money, but it had a value of circa 40 cents prior to the introduction to the TSXV. And over the space of a few months, they increased in value to, I think, over $5, a huge increase and hundreds of millions of dollars in value. And we thought there was an opportunity here to take some or all of this package and put it onto a North American stock exchange. Now, part of the process of doing that is you have to produce a technical report. So we took 8 of the license applications that we put in, and we had a National Instrument 43101 report prepared on it. And that is on our website. So again, you could go and see this report and read about this package of licensed ground. Now, there are so many opportunities with this license package and how to take it forward. And we're currently working through all of those elements, including the potential listing, working with potential partners on some of these license applications. We're developing exploration plans. We've got some quite advanced exploration now, and we want to do more. And we're also finding, wherever possible, new opportunities within the ground through the ongoing technical review. We've established an office in Ballarat. We've taken on board an exploration manager. We have local experts, because with the lockdown difficulties, you needed local people, and we're pushing ahead as far as we can. The main step of value creation going forward will be the grant of licenses, and we're simply awaiting the grants. We've supplied information to the local regulator as required. We've submitted our applications. Now we have to simply wait for the grants to come through, and then we can start cracking with ground exploration and corporately as well. So, second area, Botswana. Now, back in mid-18, I personally invested in Kalahari Key Mineral Exploration, which was a private Botswana company which had interests in the Malopo Farms Complex project, just the MFC project, nothing else. Over the months that passed by, the company did helicopter airborne electromagnetic work and identified multiple targets across their licensed ground in Botswana, prospective for nickel, copper, PGMs, and so on. Now, the company wanted to raise some further money in 2019, and it raised some money, but there was a little bit more needed. And it was such an obvious opportunity that Power Metal Resources stepped in and invested cash into the business, about circa £200,000. They also bought out at cost my original stake, so there wasn't a conflict. We used that money for ground geophysics. We identified multiple targets. We narrowed those targets down with further work, and we got to 4 high-profile drill targets. Here's the license area on the map. And there we go in a little bit more detail. Now, those 4 targets are currently being drilled, 2,500 meters of drilling over 4 holes. We completed hole 1 and announced it. We're in the process on hole 2, and we've made some announcements in respect of hole 2. You'll notice we like to keep the market updated with progress. I know the normal thing in the companies is to just say nothing for a while, possibly because many companies are not doing very much. But in our case, we like to give that information to market and show you exactly where we are. We're targeting large scale, district scale potential nickel sulfide PGM targets. This is, if we're fortunate and we find what we're looking for, company transformational stuff. Okay, so on top of the Australia Gold joint venture, on top of the Botswana Nickel PGMs joint venture, we have a project in joint venture with Kavango Resources at the Ditau camp in Botswana. Also with Kavango Resources, the Kalahari Copper Belt. That same place where a few years ago I found T3 with Metal Tiger and MOD Resources, that big, big copper discovery, and where there's been some great news from Sandfire in the last day. We have a project in Cameroon, Cobalt Nickel, situated near to a major cobalt project, the Kamuna Cobalt project. We also have in Canada an interest in a silver project, Silver Peak, generated lots of excitement amongst the investor base. We understand why, and we're excited too. We did lots of work on this in the last year. We wanted to do a more extensive drilling program, but the snowfall prevented us from finishing it, but we've got lots of data to work with going forward. There's a few pictures. In the DRC, we have a 7-kilometer long copper cobalt anomaly that we're doing work on. At the moment, we want to move into geophysics and eventually drilling some targets. And in Tanzania, we have a joint venture with Katoro Gold, where we've announced mobilization of drilling for another large-scale nickel sulfide PGM project. You see, it's hard to squeeze all this in a short space of time. And in the USA, wrapping things up, we have the Alamo Gold project, where we can earn into a 75% interest, which is nugget gold near surface, and searching for that nugget gold together with the bedrock source and other potential mineralization. So that's the project portfolio of the company. I apologize for the speed and rapidity. As always, if you have any questions you want to ask, my mobile phone number is on all market news announcements, and also you can send them to info@powermetalresources.com. Now, I want to concentrate finally on one important area. Now, this company and me personally do not engage in heavy discounted placings. I know the market is worried about that. And me as a private investor in companies I hold positions in, and I know more widely, the investors out there are concerned that they may buy a share in the company for 2 pence one day, and then find there's an announcement the next day saying that a placing has been done at 1.25 pence. Absolutely no, that's not how we do business. But we're building our financial investments alongside our operational activities to build our balance sheet. And we're doing that because we want to seek financial self-sustainability. Try and say that at 6 o'clock in the evening. We want to be able to stand on our own 2 feet and fund our own operations. We can't do that if we constantly go into the market with a begging bowl. Now, if we become financially self-sustaining, we can fund our own operations. It means we don't need to go for financings, but we can go if we wanted to in the future, but they would be on our terms, proper terms for our business. Now, we're going to build our financial sustainability through a number of different ways. You may have noticed on our market news announcements, there's been a feed of warrant money coming into our company. And that, for me as a CEO, is a fabulous thing to see. And it's coming in smoothly, which is exactly what we want. Because as we spend money, that warrant money coming in replaces our expenditure, cancels it out almost, so our working capital position stays reasonably consistent, which is exactly what we want. And in addition to that, we're working hard to build the value of our financial investments so that we have a pool of money that we can tap into when we need to. Now, you see on the screen various investments that we have. We're also looking at vending out or spinning out, call it what you wish, some or all of individual project interests, and some of which we've talked about publicly, including Australia Gold. And we've also talked about the Kavango Resources joint venture, which is looking to move into a listed vehicle also. And there are other potential areas, because in theory, everything is available if the right situation comes around for a vend out, spin out type situation. Now, when we do that and we get cash or equity in the acquiring company, that goes onto our balance sheet, and that money can be released when required to fund our operations. So this is not the mainstay of the business, but it's an important element that enables me to fulfill the business model for our shareholders. So there's the reasons why invest in Power Metal Resources. I would read them off the screen, but it's very simple. In Power, you have a board that has 14% of the equity. You have a CEO whose family has put £350,000 into the company. We work consistently on this business. It is a full-time job and then some. We don't drag out huge amounts of money from the business to pay for expensive salaries and fees. We don't drag out huge amounts of money to pay for personal expenses, to put me in a fancy seat to fly halfway around the world. Not that you could do much of that at the moment, but we wouldn't do it anyway. You pay for me to take this money, invest it in the ground, find something of value that transforms the share price of the company and gives you as the private investor an opportunity to transform your portfolio and do a few things different with your life that perhaps without this investment you may not have been able to do. There we go. There's the contact details. We are an open company. We don't hide behind PR agencies. We don't have PR agencies. If you want to speak to us, speak to us. I'm a chartered accountant, a forensic accountant, I'm not a geologist. If it's a technical inquiry, I can get that over to the people who can answer it for you. But generally about this business, and remember, we are a commercial business. We are not here to be a geological university department. We're not here to take your hard-earned money that you invest into the company and blow it on salaries and our own personal benefits. I feel sometimes with companies, I might as well send the directors the money to their savings account directly rather than invest in the shares and go through all the pain. We are here to try and find something big. We may not find something big. Exploration is high risk. We're in the midst of a number of programs at the moment. And I can assure you of one thing. Two things. You will be kept up to date through news flow. And that every morning when I wake up, I wonder, just like you do, is this the day when the big discovery will come through the door? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Paul Johnson. That was as exuberant.
How many minutes was that, Donald?
That was, yeah, you were over by about 1 minute, but I let you off for that.
Oh.
You're a nice guy. Let me put you under the cosh. We've got the questions. Okay. The questions are flooding in. Well, my question first. Okay, you talked about the first license to be granted in the Australian state of Victoria. You said you haven't got those licenses yet. So what sort of time frame are you looking for those licenses?
Okay, so there's a process in Victoria. When you submit the license applications, you have to put in exploration plans and so on, and you have to put in lots of information with it. That gets reviewed, and then you get highest ranking status, which we've now had on 10 of the 13 applications. I should say only one of those applications, number 13, lucky for some, is in a competitive situation with other parties. The other 12, it's just us. But for 10 of those 12, we've had highest ranking status and permission to advertise. So we've advertised all 10. There's a period when you can get feedback, as it were, where people can write in and raise any objections. The department looks at this, and then when they've gone through that process, if they're happy with everything, they will issue granted licenses. So we're just waiting. I don't know when it's coming in. I don't know how long it will take. COVID-19 restrictions and disruptions, together with the fact that Victoria has been deluged with applications and variations, means that they're under a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. So we push reasonably, as a commercial organisation would do, but we have to let them do the job. Honestly, it could be tomorrow, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months. I don't know. But as soon as it comes in,
Paul, what's your expectation? Do you expect to actually get most of these licenses?
We wouldn't have applied for them if we didn't expect to get most of the licenses. We expect to get all of the licenses. In some cases, you have to justify that. And in the case of license 13 only, license application 13, then we're up against other organisations. But we just focus on doing the right thing. I don't know any organisation that would undertake technical reports on almost all of the project applications, would have a 43101 prepared for 8 of the applications, would set up the office, employ exploration manager, employ local teams or team members to help with all sorts of different elements. We're gearing up like a professional organisation to do this job properly. And I think that stands us in very good stead to get as many of the applications through to grant status as possible.
And a Canadian TSX listing, Paul, what does that depend on? And when might that happen?
Okay, well, it depends on various different factors. It is one of the options available to us. We've been very clear in our announcements that we keep talking about it, so that should give people an indication as to how serious we are. We also have to deal with external inquiries into the business about the projects in Australia and there are various alternatives and options available to us. Everybody knows that understands Victoria goldfields. There is a huge amount of interest in the area. Now, our central focus is we have to get license grants, get on the ground, do exploration, because there's so much evidence of gold mineralization. We think there's going to be some fabulous outcome to exploration work. So we want to crack on. Having said that, there is the commercial side, and the potential listing is one very major area. You look at Fosterville South on the TSXV, Nubian Resources on the TSXV, and other companies that have generated considerable uplifts in share price from being involved in Victoria. And you think, yeah, that has to be a mainstay of the potential options available to the business. But there are many and varied routes that we can go down.
Okay, very good. A more broad and general question from a gentleman called Paul Taylor. If you found a couple of big deposits, you're certainly trying hard enough. What's the strategy to add value? Source digging yourself with a joint venture, or sell on to surrounding interested parties, or sell to a major? Now that's a good question.
Yeah, it all depends on what you find, how you find it, what position you're in as a business. If you take the situation, sorry to drag that old chestnut in, Greatland Gold, but you know, yeah, I have to take some of the glory, because we refinanced and restructured that business at Metal Tiger back in 2016 at 0.1 pence a share, and now it's trading well into the 20s. A huge success story. A lot of that success came about because they brought Newcrest in. And the key with bringing in a partner, which would be one of our potential mainstay routes to take a project forward, but the key to bringing in a partner is that in the case of Javieron and GGP, Newcrest were clearly switched on to getting on with the job, drilling ASAP and really doing the work fast. So I think if you're thinking of earning, you have to find the right partner. You have to get them to engage immediately and get on with the work.
I think the point
you've made with your own potential.
The point you made to me previously was not, essentially you were saying that not every major is the right partner, even though they may be a major, because sometimes you're not your interests are not material to them. No,
because you become a big part in their story. So you want to find the right partner to come in for the individual projects. If someone really needs nickel pipeline and they're willing to put up a deal that says that they will, pay a good amount up front in the first year to get on with drilling, then that's what you want, because that's news flow to the market, which is hugely important. But also sometimes you can carry on a bit more and do a bit more work yourself, because you find something, you do a few more holes, you seriously increase the value of it. Now, traditionally, big firms have done the earning type situations. They haven't done the buyout of, exploration projects. Usually it's something more established, like a mine that's producing, that they will go and buy out. But you never know. The M&A world in our space is starting to hot up a little bit. So disposals might be an option, but we won't know until we find something. So we will switch on to this. We're pretty good at generating value and understanding the options available to us. If we wanted to get in touch with majors, if we find something big, well, we probably wouldn't have to, because they monitor all the big projects. But if we wanted to get in touch, we have the routes to do that. And we have all other potential strategies that we could use as well.
Good man, that's a lovely answer. Paul, I'm going to stop you there. A lovely question from Ian McNeil. Given your fairly modest cash resources, how are you going to fund all this exploration development work? Slightly cheeky question, but, fair play to Ian.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in my 8 years of being involved in running public companies, I've never been in a situation, I think, where we had, last reported, was it around 1.7 million of working capital to deploy, with cash coming into the business on a regular basis from warrant conversions. I don't feel that we're in a small working capital position. We, on almost all of our programs, we are not forced down the barrel of a gun to spend. We have almost entirely, not entirely, but almost entirely in our contracts and agreements with third parties where we've done transactional work, we can stop if we want to. We only spend if we are comfortable with it. We have a very significant working capital position at the moment versus our committed spend. We don't have vast central overheads, so that's quite good as well, because we're not throwing cash out the door every 5 minutes on board salaries and that kind of thing. So overall, I feel in control. I'm an accountant, risk management focused accountant, so I really worry about money, and I really worry about how much money do we have. I've never felt quite as comfortable as I do now, not because I'm stupid, but I know that the way we've structured this business is protective of investors. And I do that, I suppose, because for selfish reasons, because I have 7% of the stock.
Okay, well, we've time for one last question. I'm going to squeeze, if you could answer this one quickly. I'm going to take you, you mentioned Australia as being prominent, and the second prominent asset was the Botswana Malopa Farms complex. You're drilling there at the moment. What's the latest on the drill? Are you happy with progress?
Well, the latest on the drill we provided very recently via market updates, and I couldn't say any more about what might have happened since and so on. But we're happy with the progress. These are deep holes into new targets that haven't been drilled in this way before. We're finding out all sorts of things as we go. It's hugely interesting. It's thrilling, actually, which I've said before, because this is an amazing story to take this project all the way through. And, of course, I want to see a discovery. I want to see a district scale opportunity out of Malopo Farms. But each day we take it one day at a time. We're involved in the operations. We're close to the story. We're thrilled and excited by the opportunity. And I trust that this delivers for our shareholders.
Paul Johnson, I'm going to stop you there. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. A great person to kick us off for the evening. Thank you for joining us, Paul.
Thanks, Donald. Thanks, everyone.